Please welcome to the stage, Steve Judge.
Go GB! Come on, Great Britain! So this is what they're shouting to me. It's 2011, I'm in Beijing, China, and I've just done a triathlon, the World Championships. To be honest, I've not done the whole thing. I've done the swim section, I've done the bike section, and now I'm on the run section. And I'm running as fast as I can. And as I'm running around the final corner, that's where the grandstand is, the audience. I can hear them shouting my name. They're going, "Come on, Steve!" Which is amazing, because as I hear my name being shouted, I can't help but smile. I go a little bit faster, but as I'm smiling, I suddenly realise that I can't breathe. And that's not good. You know, when you're running, you need to do the breathing thing. So I say to myself, okay, stop smiling, Steve. Just keep breathing. And then I can see that thing that I've been working towards, the finish line. That thing that I've been working for days, for weeks, for months, for years. And now I'm getting really nervous. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, okay, don't be nervous, don't smile so much, keep breathing, and I'm running as fast as I can. And as I'm coming up, I come to the finish line, I cross the finish line, I punch the air and try and go, yeah! And as soon as I cross the finish line, I've got this medal put around my neck. I've got it here. In fact, do we have the clicker as well? Yeah. So I've got this medal put around my neck. Oh, wow, it's amazing. Did I win? Thank you. Did I win? Is it gold? Is it bronze? Is it silver? It's very shiny, so I'm trying to have a look at it. We've got a picture of this. Let's have a look. There we go. And it's got some writing on it. So I'm trying to read the writing. The thing is, it's all in Chinese. Can't read Chinese. But I look on the back of it, and it's got some writing. It's in English. And it says finisher's medal. I go, oh, right. It's a finisher's medal. And I'm looking around me, well, everybody's got a finisher's medal, because I've just finished the triathlon. But then I suddenly realised that I'm hugging this medal really tightly because it means so much to me. Not only am I representing Great Britain, and not only have I just done a triathlon, which is amazing in itself, as Hilary explained yesterday on Speaker Factor, but 9 years before I got this medal put around my neck, I was told that I may never walk again. So that's the journey, the story that I want to share with you today. But I'm a speaker, I know, it's not all about me. No, it has to be about the audience, I get it. So I do have a question for you. So the question is, what is your goal? It's an acronym, of course. What's your goal, your opportunity, your love, your dream? What's that thing that you really want? That thing that you get excited about, that thing that you're maybe a bit embarrassed to share, that thing that when you do think about it, you get a little tummy tickle inside. That thing that will get you out of bed at 5:30 in the morning. What is that thing that you really desire? Your dream. Now, as we go through my presentation, I want you to think about what that is, because I've got some messages, some mantras that I'm going to share with you. I don't want you to adapt them and adopt them and take them on board and really use them going forward to achieve that thing that you really want, your gold. Now, as we go forward, there's going to be a little bit of interaction, but I also want to make sure that we've got a bit of a benchmark on the whole applause thing. I'm not too sure if we haven't been through this, obviously. So there's 3 levels of applause. I don't know if you've got the memo. Okay, so we're going to go through the 3 levels of applause. I've heard some of them. Okay, so number 1, level 1, is, to be honest, it's a very British thing. You might find it at a cricket ground. It's like a pitter-patter of rain, yeah? So we're going to practice that, just to benchmark it. So after 3, oh, hold on. After 3, we're going to pitter-patter rain. Are you ready? After 3, 1, 2, 3, pitter-patter. Very good. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, good. Right, after that, we're going to crank it up to level 2. Yeah, level 2, a bit more energy, a bit more of an uproar. Are you ready for level 2? 1, 2, 3. Very good. Like that, good. And I like it how you've saved yourself. Because you know that there's a level 3, don't you? Now, I have heard this. I heard this last night when we got the accolades presented to us and everything like that. So I really want you to go crazy now. You can whoop. You can cheer. You can stand on your chairs and go, no standing on chairs. We do not have a risk assessment for standing on chairs. But you can still go crazy. Are you ready for level 3? 1, 2, 3! Woo! Very good. Very good. Very good. I like that. Oh, okay. Now then, I also want some interaction. Of course, need some interaction because speaking. Okay, gonna going to split you into two. So go straight down on the camera. So you are, let's say, team 1, and you are team 2. Okay, team 1, as I'm coming around the final corner, you are going to be the grandstandy audience, and you are going to shout, "Go GB." Have you got that? We'll practice that, okay? So I'm coming around the final corner, I can hear the crowd shouting, "Go GB!" Brilliant. Are you competitive? Because now it's your turn. You're going to be shouting, "Come on, Great Britain." Okay, you ready for this? I could also hear the crowd shouting, "Come on, Great Britain!" Very good. Well, I know, a bit of competition there. Now, the last one is in unison. All together, I want you to shout, "Come on, Steve." Okay. Specifically, I could hear the crowd shouting, "Come on, Steve!" Brilliant. Excellent. I'm glad we've got that sorted out. Now we can carry on, because it is actually all about me. So, this is me when I was a kid. My brother, I loved running. My brother, my dad, my mum, the dogs, my sister, and me, I would run everywhere and everywhere. I loved it. For me, it's freedom, escapism. I loved it for everything that it was about it. Just loved to run. The other thing I loved doing was scouting. Have we got any scouts in here? Ex-scouts? Yeah? Brent or Browners guys? Excellent. Good. Now, I loved it for the fun, the challenge, the adventure, the life skills, and the opportunities. I used to be that scout that used to take the badge book home. I used to look through that badge to find the next badge that I wanted. When I found it, I'd go and ask for help from my mum, my dad, the scout leader, of course. And they would help me to go and achieve it. I didn't realise then, but I was actually setting a foundation of setting goals and working towards them. The photo here of me getting my Cub of the Year with the badges. And what specifically is important on this is on my arm, my first 3 badges that I ever got in scouting was swimming, cycling, and running. Now, throughout my life, I carried on. I left school. I worked down the coal pits of Yorkshire as a miner. I did my qualifications, became a mechanical engineer. My job there was to fix the machines that were broken down the coal pits. As an engineer, I was constantly being presented with problems and having to find solutions. I carried on with running through my young adult years because I loved to run. Running was my thing, and that's why I did it. This brings us to 2002. So I'm driving on the outskirts of Sheffield. It was a rainy day. There was a lot of water on the road. With that, there's my car aquaplaned. It skidded, and it turned sideways, and I lost control, dabbing the pedal, holding onto the steering wheel. I could see that I was heading towards a pole. There was nothing I could do apart from hold onto the steering wheel, brace myself, waiting for impact. Bang! Help me. Help me! Somebody help me! I was stuck. I couldn't get out. Everybody came to save me. The police, the paramedics, the fire brigade, the ambulance. It took them about an hour and a half to cut me free from the wreckage. Reaching in, they pulled me out, along with my legs. They put me into a nearby waiting ambulance, which mercy dashed me to the nearest hospital in Sheffield. I can remember the ambulance trip really clearly, to be honest, because the other 2 guys in it, they were called Steve and Steve. So can you imagine the conversation? They're like saying, "Are you okay, Steve?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm good, Steve. "Okay, Steve, we're going to go very fast, Steve. Okay, Steve? Yes, Steve. Good, Steve. And very safely, Steve. Okay, Steve? Yes, Steve. Good, Steve. Right, Steve." To be honest, they gave me lots of morphine and blood as well. They saved my life. I like Steve's. Thank you, Steve. Steve's are good. Excellent. Now, I got to the hospital. I met my surgeon. I didn't know my surgeon. His name was Simon. And he came over. He said, "Okay, Mr. Judge, we're going to see what we can do. But, it's going to be hard to save your legs, but we're going to do the best that we can." And with that, they took me into the operating theatre to save my legs. But I later found that they lied to me that day, because it wasn't just my legs that they were trying to save. It was my life. I'd lost a lot of blood. I'd been through a traumatic incident. They really didn't know whether I was going to come out alive or dead. And that's the message that my family received that night. Not knowing whether they were going to see their younger son ever again or their younger brother. The operation lasted about 8.5 hours. When I came through, I felt terrible, very static. I was in a lot of pain. And it was around this time when the surgeon was doing his rounds, and he came over to me and said, "How are you feeling, Mr. Judge?" I said, "I feel terrible, a lot of pain, very uncomfortable." He said, I understand that. I just want to let you know that we did the best that we could. We did manage to save both of your legs. But I'm afraid with the severity that you've sustained, there's a good chance that you may never walk again. I think when somebody gives you information like that, for me it was a fight or flight. I could have just rolled over in bed and given in. I said, okay, I guess I'll never walk again. But there's something inside me that was really, really angry. Really angry. I guess that's the fight, isn't it? And I remember lying there, looking up at the surgeon, thinking, who are you? Who are you to tell me that I may never walk again? I mean, your name's not even Steve. I like Steve's. Who's Simon? But Simon had a point. Of course he did. So let me try and explain. So my left leg was wrenched sideways. So the 4 ligaments that hold my knee together, they were just ripped out. My right leg was even worse. It was partially amputated. Let me try and explain with the aid of a prop. If you imagine the tibia bone on my right leg, this bone was broken once, twice, leaving 4 inches of bone that's considered no good by the surgeons in the operating theatre. And consequently, this part of the bone was just thrown away. That left me with a very short leg. And that's what I woke up to. Now, this is held together with a big metal cage that was wrapped around it. And it's going to be my responsibility to twist those nuts and bolts on that cage day after day after day, slowly stretching the skin and the muscle and ligaments and wrenching the bone apart to form a gap of 4 inches. To me at that stage, that was my goal. That was my gold. That was the thing I really wanted, was to stand again and walk again. Now through these times, the tough times, and I started writing a diary in the hospital just to share with myself more than anything. I found this is something I wrote about 4 weeks after the accident. I've ringed it here. It says, today was a good day, because today was the first time that I didn't cry. I'd cried every day in my mum's arms. But the message, why me? Why me? Why me? There's clearly no answer to that. But I just needed to move on. I just wanted something positive to focus on. I wanted to focus on what I wanted to achieve. And so what I did was I drew a picture. I drew a picture of me standing again, of me walking again, my crutches thrown to one side. That's what I needed to focus on. Now, what I didn't realize at that stage was I was actually opening up to my RAS, my reticular activating system. Do you know what that is? A few nodding heads out there. My reticular activating is something that Dr. Linda Shaw, I'm sure, could explain in a lot more detail. For me, I'm going to simplify it. It's like a filter, the back of your head. You get 20 million pieces of information coming into your head every single day, sights, sounds, smells. And you filter what you want to accept and what you don't want to accept, your conscious, your subconscious. You can program your RAS. Get a vision, focus on that, focus on what you want to achieve. For me, it was that picture. Once I knew what I wanted, I could think about the opportunities. Now, in hospital, going through rehabilitation, the main thing I needed to do was physio. Who's done physio? Put your hand over if you've done some physio. There's quite a few, crikey. Isn't it the most boring, painful, monotonous thing ever? But you've got to do it 3 times a day or whatever they say you've got to do. So I was doing all of that, but I had to do more than that. You know, I had to grow bone. I don't know about you, but how do you grow bone back? I just thought you drank lots of milk, yeah. You know, for the calcium, or maybe ate lots of cheese. That's a little bit of Wensleydale. The surgeon, they're always very official, aren't they? Surgeon, he said, no, Mr. Judge. No, Mr. Judge, you don't just drink milk and eat cheese. You've got to stand on your leg, walk on your leg, trust the cage. And I'm like, trust the cage? You trust the cage. But this is what I had to do. So taking myself down to the local park, it's got a lake in it, it's got a path all the way around it called Rother Valley. Going down there, my brain's screaming out to me, don't do it! But I knew that I had to. Grabbing my crutches, slowly putting my foot down. Gah! The pain shooting through me made me feel cold and lightheaded. Gah! Should have seen the people in the park. I think, what's this guy doing? He's crazy. But I kept doing it step by step until I saw that there was a park bench in front of me, closer than where I'd started. I managed to sit down and rest and recover. I looked at my watch, 34 minutes, half a mile distance. What a joke. What an absolute joke. I used to be a runner. I slowly wiped the tears away. I felt demoralized, depleted. I just thought, what's the point of me even bothering doing this? And then I looked down at the cage and the pins were all bleeding and the blood was dripping down and being soaked up by my sock. And I realized at that point I couldn't have gone any further. I realized that I'd been the best that I could be. I shouldn't be so hard on myself. I started feeling weak, a bit cold. I knew what was going on. I need to get back. Standing up and walking back, grunting out loud on every single step. When I got home, I collapsed. That night I had a sleepless night with muscle spasms. The next day I was completely and utterly exhausted. And the day after that, I got up and I did it all again. Because that's what I needed to do. And sometimes I fell. And many times I cried. But eventually I got past that first park bench and I pushed myself out of my comfort zone and onto the next park bench. And now I'm pushing it out to you. What are you doing? Now, what are you doing? What are you doing towards that goal, that thing that you really want, that thing that you're passionate about, that thing that excites you? What are you doing to work towards and achieve it? How are you going out of your comfort zone? Are you networking, emailing, phone calling? What are you doing? You know, for me, as I was going through it, I was thinking all the time about not leaning on my excuses and instead turning them into a challenge, step by step, bench by bench. And again, it's something that I want to pass on to you. The next time somebody tells you that you can't do something, is that true? Or is that an excuse? Or next time you tell yourself that you can't do something, is that true? Or is that an excuse that you're leaning on? And if it is, I'd urge you to turn that excuse into a challenge and push forward and achieve the things you want to do, your goal. Now, I carried on with this. I managed to get all the way around the lake in the end, bench to bench to bench. It's quite a good story about benchmarking here if you really think about it. But over the next year and a half, my bone did grow back. The cage was released. I was able to stand again and walk again, just in case you hadn't noticed that bit. But when I got to that stage, I suddenly realized I was very different to what I was before the accident. I now had chronic pain, lack of feeling, lack of movement, a lot of bad injuries. I had to start thinking about what I could do rather than what I couldn't do. There's no such thing as normal. So I started swimming because I could swim. I started getting on a bike because I could do that. I set myself challenges and events. And people said to me, Steve, have you always been like this? You're always setting goals and working toward. Have you always done that? I said, oh, not really, not at school, not at work. But scouting, do you remember scouting, you know, with the badges? I love those badges. So I thought scouting, yeah, and it just reminded me of the first 3 badges I ever got, swimming, cycling, and running. I went onto the internet and I typed in swimming and cycling, and it came up, the only thing it came up with was triathlon. I thought, oh, could I do a triathlon? Because I can't run. But as I scrolled down, I found this thing called a para triathlon, swimming and cycling and running for disabled people. I thought, oh, well, I wonder, you know, with my legs and my injuries. So I went down, I went to got assessed. They asked me lots of questions, did lots of physio, did a full assessment. And at the end of the assessment, they said, Mr. Judge, you are disabled. I said, this is great. Because now I've got no excuses to lean on. They said, can you run? I said, not yet, but now I've got a goal. Running had been stolen from me for 7.5 years. But now I had a reason to try it again. I remember running for the first time. My brain knew what to do, but my legs couldn't quite keep up. But I remember looking down at my legs and going, wow, I'm running again. This is amazing. The thing is, after the run, the next day I was in so much pain that I couldn't run. So I thought about what I could do, rather than what I couldn't do. And I swam. And the day after that, I still had the pain, so I cycled. And the day after that, the pain had subsided a bit. So I ran again, because I love to run. And that was my training montage that took me up to the first para triathlon. Happened to be the British Championships, happened to be at the same park where I'd done my rehabilitation. Meeting para triathletes from around the UK, amazing people, missing arms, missing legs, visually impaired or completely blind, doing a para triathlon. We're all in different categories. We're getting to the water. I'm waiting for the horn to go off. starts swimming as fast as you can, trying to get punch the kit. You go round the boys in the lake, you get all the way back, and you take your wetsuit off and you put it in the box. Now you're onto the bike section. So you're cycling along, cycling round the reservoir. 4 times you're going to go round, so you're trying to count them. As you're doing the gears and the brakes, you rack your bike, and now I'm onto the run section, 5K. So I'm sprinting off, and as I'm running along, I'm pushing myself, and I can see those same park benches. And I see a vision of myself sat down on them, in pain and in sorrow. And I thought, that's not me anymore. Look at me now. Look at me now. And I'm running as fast as I can, and I'm coming round to the final corner, and I cross the finish line. As I cross the finish line, I grab the gold medal. Round of applause, please. And I felt amazing, but I also felt massive relief out of all the pain and sorrow that I'd been put through, all the heartache that I'd done. I was in tears. I remember picking my son up and I hugged him like a teddy bear. He was in tears as well. I don't know why he was in tears, actually. He was a toddler, probably lost his lollipop or something. But it's around this time when one of the officials came over and said, Mr. Judge, congratulations, you're British champion. Would you like to represent Great Britain? And I'm like, hell yeah. I would love to represent Great Britain. The point here is there's opportunities around us all the time. You've got to see them, hear them, smell them. And when you do something about it. Grab hold of it with both hands and make it happen. And that's what I was prepared to do. For now, my time was set at 5:30 in the morning. That was my time. I'd get up, I'd go for a swim before work. This was not easy. I was working full-time in construction, in health and safety. I had a family with 2 kids. Now I was training up to be an elite athlete. I'd work through the morning. At lunchtime, I'd go for a run. In the afternoon, carry on working, get home from work, play with the kids, put the kids to bed, and be out on my bike. I'm not saying I did that every single day, but I was always thinking about what I could do rather than what I couldn't do. Setting my new goals, wanted to be British champion again, which I achieved. But I wanted more than that. Now as an elite athlete, I wanted to set my goal. I wanted to be a world champion. But I needed to focus on what I wanted to achieve. And so I drew a picture. Of course I did. So I drew a picture of what I wanted to achieve, to open up to my Raz. This time I put more detail on it, more colour. Me crossing the finish line as a world champion. That's what I needed to do. Now to get there, I need to think about my golden gear. What equipment, what do I need to get there? 1 question, 3 times. What more can I do? What more can I do? What more can I do? What more can you do? What are you going to do? What's that just one thing that you're going to do from this conference? What are you going to take forward? What are you going to do? Thinking about this all the time. You know, you've always got to think about what more you can do. For me, I was competing in the European Championships, always going well, always smiling, but still breathing. But then this happened. I got beaten by the Italian. Yeah, his name wasn't Steve. His name was Michael Ferran, and he's a Paralympian swimmer. Basically, he swims like a fish. On that day, he beat me by 4 minutes. Now, I realized at that point that I couldn't win the World Championships in 6 months' time. I couldn't get 4 minutes quicker. I'm going to have to settle for the silver medal, the bronze medal. But then I realized what I was doing. I was leaning on my excuses. And so I needed to turn my excuses into challenges. And so I had to get 4 minutes quicker in 6 months. This was not easy. I had to think about speed, endurance, strength, pushing myself. But then on my journey, I suddenly realized that some of my friends weren't getting to the start line. Where's Jason? Where's Dominique? Oh, they're injured. They're injured. I felt gutted for them. I knew how important this was for them. I suddenly realized that I could learn from them, though. You know, if I couldn't look after myself, I couldn't even get to the start line, and then I couldn't compete. But what about you? Are you looking after yourself? This thing that you really want, your gold. Are you doing everything to make sure that you get to your start line? Because like I said, if you can't get to the start line, you can't even compete. Your health, your wealth, looking after yourself. For me, I had to think about everything. Listen to my body, nutrition. I had to think about the warming up, the warming down, stretching. I had to do the whole injury prevention thing, which is one of the most boring things ever because you don't see any results. You just don't get injured. But I feel you've got to put the action in. I feel that wellness is very much about taking action so that you can take action. So I was doing all of this, and I made it all the way to Beijing, 2011, China. Are you ready? Because remember, this is your bet. Go GB, come great, go Steve. Right, so we get there. The Italian the Italian, he turns up. Okay, but don't worry, I've got a plan. So on the swim, he's going to disappear from me like a fish. On the bike, we're equal, but on the run, if I could see him, I could catch him. If I could catch him, I could take him. And if I could take him, I could win the gold medal. So we get into the water. All getting ready, waiting for the horn. Oh, no, to be honest, this time we get announced in, representing Greece, Steve Judge, please come to the stadium. And, and I'm smiling and I'm waving and everything like this. But inside, I'm really nervous. I'm waiting there. Okay, now we're waiting for the horn to go off. So swimming as fast as you can. Swimming the Italian like a fish, just disappears out. So I'm swimming. I get all the way to the end, take my wetsuit off, put it in the box. Okay, that's me done. Onto the bike. So I'm now cycling along. I'm not even looking for the Italian. I'm just holding on to dear life, doing all the gears, doing all the brakes. But as I'm cycling along, there's lots of other para triathletes. And I don't know whether they're in my category or not. And as they're overtaking me, I'm literally looking to see how many arms they've got and how many legs they've got. I'm going, no, let that one go. Oh, chase that one. So we get to the end, we're at the bike, and now I'm on to the last section, 5K. So I'm sprinting along, and this is where the plan comes in. I'm sprinting, and eventually I see the Italian. I thought, right, that's it. So I'm catching up to him, and as I pull up close to him, the Italian moves away. And I thought, I'm not having this. This is my medal. This is my moment. So I'm running as fast as I can, and we're coming up to the final corner where the grandstand is. And in the final corner, I can hear the crowd shouting, "Go GB!" I can hear them shouting, "Come on, Great Britain!" And I can hear them shouting in unison, "Go on, Steve!" And I'm smiling a little bit, but not too much, otherwise I can't breathe. And then I come at the final corner and I see that thing that I've been working towards for days, for weeks, for months, for years, the finish line. And I'm getting really nervous and I'm pushing myself as I cross all the way down the finish line. I cross the finish line to grab the gold medal! Woo! I achieved my goal. So I'm retired from international competition now because I've shattered, to be honest. But one of the first things I did was I went back to scouting. Now as a Cub Scout leader, president of Derbyshire Scouts in the UK, I now give the new generation fun, challenge, adventure, life skills and opportunities. Who knows where those badges will take them later on in their life. You know, a lot of people said to me, "Steve, what are you going to do now?" And I remember standing there like a Superman pose. I said, I am going to be a motivational speaker. And they're like, "Wow, that's amazing. How are you going to do that?" I said, I haven't got a clue. I had no idea how I was going to be a motivational speaker. But I knew by that stage that if I wanted something enough, I would make it happen. So I did the small gigs, and did the networking. I met a stylist. She said, "Steve, you look really good in your white shirt and your blue jeans, but you look better in a blue suit." I said, "That's great, but I haven't got a blue suit." She said, "When you should get a big gig, you should get a blue suit." I said, "Okay, I'll call that my blue suit gig, my BSG. Not a big sweaty guy, but a BSG. Please don't get them mixed up. That's not what I'm searching. That's not my goal." Okay, so I needed something to focus on. I needed to focus on something for me to achieve it. And so, of course, I drew a picture. But this time I drew two pictures, where I was then, but where I wanted to be. On the big stage, with a big audience, with the big lights. I also wanted one of those head mics that Madonna made really cool. I thought they looked really good as well as a motivational speaker. So that was my goal, my BSG. That's what I was working towards. And the thing is, to get there, I knew I couldn't do it alone. I needed my golden gang. What about you? To get to your thing that you really want, your gold, you've got to realize that you can't do this thing alone. Who's in your golden gang? Look around you. For me, I joined the PSA. I met the new people in my life, specifically Yorkshire PSA, who we've got here today. Woo! More specifically, my mastermind group, Penny, Liz, Heather, Kate, James, who are here today, helping me, using them, helping me as well, helping other people throughout the PSA. It's amazing meeting all these people and helping each other. But then I did the whole networking thing, the whole marketing thing. I got a website, even got a logo, working towards my BSG. Then I got that phone call. First things first, yes, I can make that date. Tell me about the audience. That's a big audience. That's good. Have you got a big stage? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Have you got big lights? Yeah. Excellent. Let's talk about the fee, shall we? Oh, I can accommodate that fee. Okay. I thought, this is it. I've got my BSG. Well, one last question. Can I have one of those head mics that, yeah, Madonna made cool. Yeah, cool. So this is it. I got so excited. I went out shopping the next day to buy my blue suit. And then soon after that, a couple of weeks after that, going onto that stage in front of thousands of people, helping people, inspiring others, and motivating many. Doing my BSG, I felt such endorphin release. I felt so excited, but I also felt such relief after all the time and effort that I put into it to achieve my goal, my gold. And now running workshops, now as a best-selling author, and now I've got other goals, which I'll happily tell you about some other time, because it's not all about me. It's about you. What's your goal? It's your gold. What's that thing that you really want? Your goal, your opportunity, your love, your dream. What's that thing that excites you? That thing that you get out of bed early for. On your journey, there's going to be many barriers and obstacles. You've got to see those as excuses. And don't lean on your excuses, but instead turn your excuses into challenges. There's going to be times when you ask yourself, what more can I do? What more can you do? Are you concentrating enough on your wellness and your well-being? Who's in your golden gang? You've got to realize you can't do this thing alone. Now, if you do all of those, the main thing you've got to do is you've got to be the best that you can be. Because if you do that, I know that you'll have no regrets. And if you do that, I believe that every single one of you will achieve your gold. Thank you very much. Thank you. Steve!
Brilliant, Steve. Thank you so much.